I'm about to visit London. I've been visiting for about 55 years on and off, so I know my comments will be tinged with some nostalgia, but also with sadness at the way it's changed. Though named Londinium by the Roman barbarian invaders, it existed long before. Some say it's still being invaded. Its original size, still called the City of London, is about a square mile, making it the smallest city in England. The population of over 8 million today makes it Europe's largest city. First stop, the London Eye, a giant Ferris wheel on the south bank of the River Thames, 135 meters tall. The wheel, with a diameter of 120 meters, giving spectacular views over the city. Opened in 1999, it's the tallest cantilever-style Ferris wheel in the world. It was the highest public viewing point in the city until the observation deck on the 72nd floor of the Shard was opened. The air-conditioned ovoidal modules looking very futuristic. Then we walked along the south bank, having slept well the night before, enjoying the sights. Even the Thames Riviera. St. Paul's Cathedral, majestic on the skyline. Nate was my guide.
So we're just walking along South Bank. We started off at Westminster and we're walking along to the Tate Modern. We'll cross the Millennium Bridge to go towards St. Paul's. And they're saying of all the major developed cities, London has the most green space.
I hope that's green enough. Then it was time to eat, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying the view, enjoying the fish and chips. And Nate explaining it's next to Blackfriars Bridge, but the Africans are not frying the fish. The flagpole on the left is the highest point on the globe. Globe Theatre, that is, a replica of the Elizabethan Shakespeare Playhouse. Then we walked across the Millennium Bridge to St. Paul's Cathedral. Photo time. Tower Bridge nearby. Now we know we're in London for sure.
Alright, we're just here waiting for the light to come out in St. Paul's. Any moment now, hopefully. And St. Paul's was the place where they stored all the king's ransom when they were trying to collect the money to free King Richard I from captivity in Austria.
Last visit of the day, St. Paul's. Even went to a service there. The choir was excellent. It was a very enjoyable day. Day 2 of our adventure, and we decided to take a trip down the Thames to Greenwich, and see the Cutty Sark. Another beautiful day. We head east, enjoying the sights. The iconic Tower Bridge. The infamous Tower of London, where people who tried to get ahead lost it. The bridge is a drawbridge and can be lifted to allow boats through. We changed boats here and had a cup of St. Arbuck's brew before continuing the Odyssey to Greenwich, the centre of the world. The Cutty Sark, a British clipper built on the Clyde in Scotland in 1869, was one of the last tea clippers to be built, and perhaps the fastest, as sailing ships gave way to steam. Clip, meaning swift, as it moved at a fair clip through the sea. It's on the banks of the Thames here. The ship was badly damaged by fire in May 2007 while undergoing conservation. It was restored and reopened to the public on the 25th of April 2012. The ship was named after Cutty Sark, the nickname of the witch Nanny Dee in Robert Burns's famous poem Tam O'Shanter. In the poem, she wore a linen sark, a kind of undergarment that she'd been given as a child, and which explains why it was cutty or short. The sight of her dancing in such a short undergarment caused Tam to cry out, "Well done, Cutty Sark." And there you have it. So 150 years ago, this majestic sailing ship carried tea from China back to England, a 3.5-month trip from Shanghai to London, and later wool from Australia. It's now a wealth of information, an excellent historic museum that was thoroughly enjoyable to look around. Out on deck, one can imagine a little of what it was like to sail in her, immaculately restored, with a glass base that emulates the sea. Excellent. When Nate took the wheel, he reminded me of Captain Bligh.
It goes back to like, I think 1100.
Then back into the city on a sunny evening. Good day?
Yeah, we took the train into town, stopped off at Southwark where we got the river cruise, went down to the Cutty Sark and walked around, had a look at the, what was it? Discovered Greenwich University campus area, University of Greenwich, and then we're back on the river cruise to go back all the way to Westminster.
This part of London is the new London, but the old is never far away. A very enjoyable trip in the evening sun. It's said that England in the summer is the most beautiful place on earth, though not so the other 364 days. The hit song One Fine Day was actually dedicated to an English summer. If only we knew beforehand which day it was going to be.
This is not Westminster, so don't get off.
This is not Westminster, so don't get off. I asked Nate, What, does he think we're stupid? Nate said no, he thinks we're tourists. Reminds me of our visit to Venice a week later, when everywhere there were signs to the Vaporetti. But I couldn't for the life of me find it on the map, and I wanted to visit. For tourists watching, the Vaporetti are the water buses. After a while, we were right in the middle of the famous landmarks of London. Tower Bridge, looking majestic. The tower itself. HMS Belfast, and then London Bridge. Nice view of the Shard. It had to be of a special design to even be built. London wanted no ugly, oblong boxes ungracing their graceful skyline. Shakespeare's Globe, historic, and under the Millennium Bridge, past St. Paul's and Blackfriars, the London Eye, and back to Westminster as Big Ben strikes 6 and Boudica and her daughters are triumphant in defeat. What was it she said? I'm fighting for my lost freedom, my bruised body, and my outraged daughters. That is what I, a woman, plan to do. Let the men live in slavery if they will. She said that 2,000 years ago. We then walked up through Westminster. Passing policemen telling Andrew Mitchell jokes and getting good shots of Westminster Abbey. Not a cloud in the sky. In no time we reached Buckingham Palace. Then a walk through Green Park to end the day.
We're cycling along the Grand Union Canal. And as you can see, there's a boat coming through a lock.
Next day, a bike ride along the Grand Union Canal. A little bit of history here too, but the main reason was exercise. The narrow boats are waiting their turn to go through the lock. Good place for a cuppa. Alan and Fran Woodsey were showing how it's done. Slowly. The boats don't look very comfortable. Nowhere to sit really, but probably more comfortable than a bike. Having said that, one can always improvise. This boy's in the bathroom. One takes one's life in one's hands, getting shots of one's bike ride.
Hello! We're riding along the river.
Bike was not too reliable. Finally had a coffee and a snack. Then we headed back into the city for our last look. First stop, Borough Market. Amy had joined us, had lunch, then on to the renowned Monmouth Coffee Company, home of the best coffee shop in London. Email me if you know one better, especially if there's no queue there. Looks like they stuck a mini shard on top of the market. Banksie was here, announcing primates will soon take over, and we thought they already had. Meanwhile, another woman was making a bad decision. I wanted a shot of Nate under the smell me sign, but there were too many smelling people there. The cheese shop was awesome. I love cheese. Next stop, the Golden Hind, Drake's famous ship. A hind is a female deer. Not a very big ship, but the Hind is not a very big deer. It nevertheless earned a fortune for him and Queen Elizabeth. Should explain to enthusiasts at this point, I left my professional HD Sony 200 at home and brought the consumer Sony HD 520 as it weighs 1/10. Not great shots, but better than the iPhone. Just. London Bridge, City of London. Motto, Lord guide us. God help us might now be more appropriate. And we visited the monument that remembers the Great Fire of London that destroyed most of the city from the 2nd to the 5th of September 1666. The fire gutted the medieval city of London inside the old Roman city wall.
We're talking about the London Shard. And that London, by building it, sharded itself.
If you don't know what sharded means, you're fortunate. Experience will be your teacher. We then walked to the river, got some nice shots. Even managed a shot with the drawbridge open, the sailing barge, hydrogen, sailing through. There's always something happening on the river. After that, coffee and a visit to the tower. I have to say that the weather was amazing and really made the day enjoyable. The Tower of London has so much history attached to it. The first part of it, built, the White Tower, the central part, was built by William the Conqueror in 1078. Believe it or not, the tower has around 2.5 million visitors a year. That's an average of 15 people for every minute of entry time. The crown jewels are inside. They're encased in bulletproof glass with an elaborate alarm system, probably the target of Ocean's 14. The central White Tower has been described as the most complete 11th century palace in Europe. It's certainly an iconic monument in London, and being next to the Tower Bridge is a must-visit site. The best views of Tower Bridge are from here, and the bridge itself is a must-do walk. They must have started filming Ocean's 14. The walk we took over the bridge and back in the evening sunshine was memorable. The sights, the sounds, the atmosphere. This is London. Enjoy it. Then we had a look around St. Catherine's Docks. Starbucks in the middle. Expensive flats. The Royal Barge, moored up and looking great. Really unforgettable. The Dickens Inn, the old dock, and the old warehouses now converted to residences. A nice place on a sunny evening. We then took the number 15 bus to Covent Garden. Had a walk around and enjoyed another famous landmark, and then went for a steak and ribs. Nice. Finally, Trafalgar Square. My first memories of London would be here. Big Ben in the distance, the lions commanding. Then a stroll down to the embankment. London at night. Different feel to it. I like it. I remember the old London, the old London, and I have to admit that after these 3 enjoyable days, the things I liked the most were those snippets of old London, those blasts from the past that kept massaging my memory as we walked in the dusk. Those memories were strongest. So this is London, ever changing. A newer look is now emerging. Same old river, same Big Ben, that makes me say, remember when? And this is London, different faces, that came not from the Ascot races, they came from shores of bygone eras, came home to roost in London's boroughs. What shall I say as I keenly ponder the lights that make me sigh and wonder. Remember, yes, but those days are past. Now, this is London.